how it can play into the art in itself. This is something that I personally find very interesting. It's like a combination of, engineering, like developing and artistic mediums, like all coming together, which I think is extremely interesting and exciting. But then obviously, like, I'm also a big fan of artists that reinvent themselves for this digital medium. So artists that are able to bring a very physical practice, such as painting or like wool felting, into the digital medium by enhancing this by, for example, learning how to use GANs or learning how to code and then applying this into their physical practice and all of these like mechanics. So I think in general, for me, it's like, how can you add to your practice for the medium?
Where do you think this crypto art space is headed? Like, what do you think is on the horizon?
It is already the future. We're going to be seeing more and more brands coming in using NFTs as a way to build communities, as a way to engage fans, as a way to build a new customer base. We're also going to be seeing many more creators working closely with brands and like adopting these methodologies of working together, which hopefully can benefit both parties and not just be one-sided. I think we're going to be seeing many more metaverse experiences in the whole like ecosystem, such as gaming, such as museums, such as institutions. So I just see the space growing more and more. It's an exciting time. I think we're just really at the start of it. So what will happen in the next 5 to 10 years is I think going to be pretty surprising.
Are there any hurdles that stand in the way of this space, being all it can be? Right? Is there anything that's standing in the way of this growing to the next level?
Personally, I'm not really worried about the space growing to the next level. What I am worried, or what I do think about, is making sure that the values and the ideologies with which the ecosystem was built from the start, talking about 2016, 2015 so far, such as artist royalties, secondary royalties, smart contracts integrations, on-chain transparency, all of these aspects are maintained in the future. And I think the risk when something like a new technological innovation gets so big and so mass adopted is that you tend to potentially lose some of these aspects, which in my view are extremely important.
So I know that you work with a lot of artists, and I'm sure you have favorites. And I hate to put you on the spot and risk you alienating yourself from specific folks. But are there some specific artists that you would recommend listeners to check out their work that you really love, that you collect? Who should we be checking out?
It's a really tough question. Like my position is one that I really try to avoid this as much as possible. I am obviously going to be biased towards the artists that are part of our community. So I think on the top of my mind, an artist that really strikes me specifically at the moment is an artist called Dunya. I mentioned her before, but she's from Senegal, from Dakar, and she, I think, has huge potential. She does some really incredible work, and yeah, at the moment, it's the first name that comes to my
Sure.
mind.
Well, how would you describe her work?
So she has a very varied practice. One of her aspects is GANs and generative art. Another practice is digital paintings, but her whole focus is really depicting and showing the culture where she's from, and the place where she lives, and her society, political, economical, societal structures. And it's very clear from the work that she does. So she tries to transfer what she sees in real life and what she lives into her body of work, and it's pretty incredible.
Sure. Let me ask you this. So I know that you're on the schedule to speak this week at nft-NYC. What topic what was the topic that you have been chosen to contribute to?
The panel was on community and how to build community within the NFT space, but unfortunately, because of the COVID regulations, I won't be able to make it.
Tell me, what would that conversation have looked like in terms of community building? What are the talking points that folks would have gotten to hear?
Well, it was a panel, so I think it was going to be more of like a conversation with all of the panelists. I think on my side, like my biggest thoughts around like how to build community has always been around being as organic as possible. My community has really built itself up very organically, very authentically, very honestly. Like it's never been, nothing has ever been forced. It's always been pretty much me trying to learn as much as possible about the NFT space and speaking and engaging with people that I find inspiring, and building out of the deepest, form of sincerity and love and passion for what I do and for the artists and for the creators of the space. So nothing has ever felt forced. And I think that's part of why, vertical crypto art is also where it is at the moment, and why we've managed to build such strong bonds and connections between the people that we've interacted with.
Sure. So is Discord a big part of that? Is that where the majority of kind of the organic growth is, or is it on all the platforms?
Primarily Twitter. That's where we've built our community, our strongest community. And I think primarily Twitter. And then obviously we opened the Discord server, and that's where I guess just the core of our community really stays and chats and interacts.
Super. Well, Micol, I've really appreciated your time this morning. I think you're doing amazing work, and perhaps we'll get to meet at the nft.nyc next year. But I really appreciate what you do, and I sincerely think this is an exciting opportunity for artists that want to get into the space, and people that want to figure out how to wade into crypto art in the right way. And so I really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me. And hopefully I'll meet you soon next year.
Great. Thank you, and have a good day.
And now, the news. An art collective called Mischief, spelled MSCHF in all caps, has just released a series of conceptual artworks that pokes fun at conceptual artwork. Well, the release, which is part of the group's Museum of Forgeries project, is offering a 1954 line drawing by Andy Warhol called Fairies, as well as 999 identical forgeries of the drawing. The forgeries were created by scanning the original and using the data to drive a robotic arm. The forgeries were then put through a series of steps to degrade the materials, making it almost impossible to tell the original from the fakes. They then destroyed the records of which is which and shuffled the deck. So for $250, you can buy a precise replica of the drawing, which might actually be the drawing itself. What's the point? Is this just a way to make $250,000 selling a drawing valued at $20,000? Well, Mischief says they are actually wanting to make a statement about the art world. Quote, "The capital A art world is far more concerned with authenticity than aesthetics, as proven time and again by conceptual works sold primarily as paperwork and documentation. By forging fairies en masse, we obliterate the trail of provenance for the artwork. Though physically undamaged, we destroy any future confidence in the veracity of the work. By burying a needle in a needle stack, we render the original as much a forgery as any of our replications." Jean-Honore of Fragonar's The Swing, the most iconic image from the Rococo period, has just undergone an extensive cleaning and restoration, which is shedding more light on the origins of the painting and the artist's intent. After removing a healthy layer of dirt and yellowed varnish, the vibrant colors of the painting appear even more so. The scene, which has long been cloaked in scandal, shows a young woman delightfully enjoying her time on a swing. An older gentleman appears to be pushing her, while a young man can be seen emerging from the bushes in the foreground, catching the perfect glimpse up the girl's skirt. The restored image reveals more blush in her cheeks and a more sizable bosom. It has always been presumed that the old man is the girl's husband, while the young man is her lover. We don't know for sure because the patron who commissioned the work was never identified. Fragonar confirmed the painting was his, but would never say who paid him. The clues we do have about the origin come from an artist named Gabriel Francois Dunya, who supposedly passed on the commission. According to Dunya, he met the prospective patron, quote, in his pleasure house with his mistress. The patron told him that, quote, "You will position me in such a way that I am able to see up the pretty child's legs, with her on a swing pushed by a bishop." Well, the finished work totally hits all those same notes, except for the bishop. Perhaps Fragonar negotiated a version that was more provocative than salacious. So there's this sprawling villa in Rome called Casino de Villa Boncompagni Lodovici. That's a mouthful, but it's better known as Villa Aurora. Well, when it was constructed back in the 1500s, Cardinal Francesco Maria del Monte wanted something special to adorn his alchemy lab. I mean, wouldn't you? He wound up enlisting the work of a 20-something Caravaggio who painted a fresco of Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto on the ceiling. It's the only known mural by the mercurial Caravaggio, and it's not going anywhere. Such is the nature of fresco. But the villa is now for sale, and the villa is soon coming up for auction. It's estimated that the prime palatial residence in central Rome would go for roughly 110 million euros if it weren't for the Caravaggio. With the inclusion of that mural, as well as another by Grancino, the starting bid for the villa skyrockets to 472 million euro. In a world where billionaires pay nearly that much for a yacht, it's possible that there may be a buyer out there. Only time will tell.
That's all the time we have for this week. You've been listening to Art Sense. You can find the show on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. If you've enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe, and while you're there, please rate the show and leave a quick review. Your feedback is the key to other folks finding us. If you'd like to see images related to the conversation, read a transcript, and find other bonus features, you can go to canvia.art and click on the podcast tab. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can email me at craig@canvia.art. Thanks for listening.